Tonight, Queensland's Cross-Border Commissioner announced to crack down on criminals jumping state lines. Jetstar passengers launch a major class action against the airline for cancelling flights. The missing emails that could have changed key decisions made on the day of the Weam Billa ambush. Why heartless Gold Coast thieves are stealing hundreds of gravestone plaques. The surprise top Queensland towns for downsizing retirees. Plus the simple tools to guarantee you always pay the lowest price for everything, from furniture to electronics.
This is 9 News Queensland with Andrew Lofthouse.
Good evening. After more than a decade at the helm of the Queensland Police Union, Ian Levers will become the state's first cross-border commissioner. The fast-tracked appointment follows a spike in crime in Gundawindi and offenders slipping out of reach of officers across state lines.
Border communities under attack, living in fear of young criminals committing violent offences across 2 states and getting away with it.
That has caused us to bring forward our planned appointment to the Cross-Border Commissioner.
The man tasked with the job, Ian Levers, a police officer since 1989 and the boss of the police union for the past 15 years.
Does this mean now that you'll be stepping down as president of the Queensland Police Union?
Absolutely it does. Come Sunday afternoon, that will come to an end.
Levers will hand in his badge after 35 years. His role, to work with the New South Wales government on issues affecting border communities with a focus on crime.
I'm there. I'm going to be the eyes and ears. I will be out there. I will be talking to people.
Communities along particularly the Queensland and New South Wales border, often experience challenges associated with dealing with 2 different state administrations.
The appointment was a captain's pick. Levers will answer to the Premier and work directly with community leaders. Just one of the issues they raised is differing laws in either state, making it hard for police to chase criminals across the borderline. They're calling for a singular jurisdiction, one rule for all, or a border bubble, similar to the COVID era.
Because that requires the cooperation of all states to come together, but I think that is really important.
So he will need all the tools in his toolkit. Otherwise, it'll be like the very best tradesman that's not given any tools.
The immediate appointment came after a series of 9 News investigations on the ground in Gundawindi, the community demanding urgent government action.
Sometimes people feel when they're outside of Brisbane they don't have a voice. Well, I want to be their voice.
They say repeat offenders being released on bail are largely to blame.
Will you hold the magistrates to account that continually let repeat offenders out?
You've seen me over the last 15 years. Whoever I've had to hold to account, I've done that and I'll continue to do that.
Well, Peter Fegan joins me in the studio now. So, Peter, who's next to take up the police union top job?
Well, Andrew, I can tell you that Ian Levers will be replaced by his long-time deputy, Shane Pryor. Like Ian, Shane is a respected police officer holding the rank of Detective Senior Constable. As for how the Gundawindi community is responding to Mr Levers' appointment, generally they're happy to see some action, but they still want the Premier to visit them and hear about these issues they're facing firsthand. So 9 News put the question to them today. Stephen Miles said that he would love to visit, but he has to check his diary for available times. And I can tell you that Ian Levers has met with Lawrence Springboard this afternoon, the Mayor of Gundawindi.
All right, watch this space. Thanks, Peter. A major class action against Jetstar could force the airline to refund hundreds of millions of dollars to customers. The budget carrier accused of refusing to refund tickets for cancelled flights during COVID, instead issuing travel credits to the frustration of would-be flyers.
When Jetstar cancelled flights during the COVID pandemic, customers were given travel credits. A class action lodged in the federal court alleges the airline did the wrong thing.
The correct thing for them to do under the law was to give people's money back. What they chose to do was to put profits ahead of their customers, hold on to that money to try to protect the airline at the expense of ordinary people.
Yamur Siddiqui suffered when Jetstar cancelled multiple flights.
At the time I was struggling and I needed the money for other things. So I was a bit sort of stuck with that sort of money, and in order to use Jetstar again, I wasn't particularly wanting to use Jetstar again. So that kind of made me feel like held in ransom.
Melbourne-based Echo Law claims hundreds of thousands of people were affected.
You have to also put yourself back in the mindset of 2020 to 2022. Who sitting at home during lockdown wanted a travel credit rather than money they could use for something at that very desperate time?
The class action also alleges Jetstar profited by holding on to hundreds of millions of dollars of customer payments, earning interest and reducing borrowing costs. In other words, as customers sat at home, Jetstar was making a windfall. Jetstar has responded with a statement. We'll review the claims filed in the class action this morning. Last year, we removed expiry dates for COVID vouchers so they can be used indefinitely. In May this year, Qantas reached a $120 million settlement with the ACCC over the Ghost Flights fiasco, selling tickets for flights that had already been cancelled. The Jetstar class action, another big threat to its bottom line. Mark Burrows, 9 News.
The inquest into the Weam Billa police shootings has heard the ambushed constables should not have been sent to the remote property. Just 2 missing emails that weren't passed on by New South Wales police would have changed key decisions that day.
A steady voice guiding a panicked constable to safety.
Do they know where you are? You've got to look after yourself, buddy.
That was Acting Sergeant Justin Dreyer, who today told the coronial inquest he would not have sent Constable Randall Kirk and 3 others to the property if he had known about emails sent by one of its occupants. The inquest has heard threatening emails from Gareth Train was sent to New South Wales Police, who had been looking for his brother Nathaniel, believing he may have been at the Weam Billa property with Gareth and Stacey Train. They requested Queensland counterparts to check. The emails were received and uploaded in New South Wales on the morning of the ambush in December 2022, but the full file was not transferred to Queensland. Detective Chief Inspector Garry told the inquest today he'd now reviewed the emails, finding 2 to be of concern. One included a reference to police being greeted as they deserve. He said he would have requested checks by intel officers and a profile on all the trains before sending crews to the house. Instead, the 4 constables had no idea what they were walking into, and within minutes 2 would be dead, along with an innocent neighbour. The inquest heard that Queensland police were aware that Gareth Train was paranoid and had a dislike of police, but they said that this was common. Unfortunately, many members of the public don't like police. The inquest has heard the Train's hatred of police was fuelled by a shared psychotic delusion. They believed police were demons and were laying in wait. The inquest continues. Anna Rawlings, 9 News.
And Nine's new and exclusive podcast, The Ultimate Sacrifice, has all the details from inside the inquest. Listen anywhere you get your podcasts. Bombshell accusations have been made in Parliament that the head of the Parole Board was allowed to resign and keep a generous pension despite being referred to the CCC over a romantic relationship. The Corrective Services Minister says she knew allegations had been made but never asked what they were about.
Parole Board President Michael Byrne will receive an annual lifetime pension of $210,000 after resigning in July. But the opposition wants to know why Minister Nikki Boyd didn't stand him down after allegations were referred to the CCC that travel allowances were paid to a romantic partner of Mr Byrne.
The allegations that have been referred to the CCC around the former president of the Parole Board aren't allegations that are known to me.
The minister was aware accusations had been made, but says when she met with Mr Byrne, she didn't ask what they involved.
My view on these things is as long as they're being dealt with appropriately, that is the best course of action for them.
Surely as a minister, though, you must be curious about what the head of the Parole Board's been referred to the CCC about.
My focus was on having a parole board that was functioning well.
The accusations against Michael Byrne have not been proven, but the opposition claims they involve a long-term Labor staffer and that Mr Byrne was allowed to resign for political reasons, something the government firmly denies.
Can the minister tell Queenslanders why the former Parole Board president was allowed to resign on his own terms, entitling him to a pension for life rather than being stood down.
The president of the parole board tendered a resignation that actually ended up happening earlier. So I think, the basis of the question that the member alleges isn't actually factual.
Tim Arvia, 9 News.
A 12-year-old is fighting for life after she was hit by a car riding an e-scooter on the Sunshine Coast this morning. Paramedics were called to the main road address in Maroochydore around 8 o'clock. She was taken to hospital in a critical condition with chest injuries. The 21-year-old female driver is assisting police, and anyone with dash cam footage is urged to come forward. A Queensland mother intentionally killed herself and her 4 children in a fiery crash, a coroner has found. Charmaine McLeod and her children, Aileen, Matilda, Wyatt and Zadok, died after their car hit a truck head-on near Kingaroy in 2019. A coronial inquiry investigating Miss McLeod's complex mental health conditions and her involvement with multiple agencies, ultimately concluding no authorities could have predicted or prevented her final actions. And if you or someone you know is struggling to cope, you can contact Lifeline on 131114 or lifeline.org.au. It can often feel like a rare thing in politics these days, but bipartisanship has been on full display in Canberra today. The government and opposition negotiating to deliver on major reform that will transform the NDIS and how aged care is delivered.
In the People's House, Aged Care Minister Annika Wells crossing the floor for a front bench face-to-face. A chat of minutes, finalising an aged care plan years in the making and decades in implementation.
I don't think it'll be any surprise that we will need to invest more in aged care.
And with an ageing population living longer, Australians heading into aged care will pay more as well. Expect prices to rise for pensioners, not just self-funded retirees, with incentives to receive care and assistance in your own home before entering aged care facilities.
Good morning, everybody. We're good to go.
2 floors above, another deal.
These are the first and most significant co-governance changes since the inception of the scheme a decade ago.
The government, opposition and states set to sign off on reform of the NDIS. Among the changes, more clearly defined services accessible under the scheme, increased powers of investigation and restrictions on participants topping up their plan.
For people with disability and their families, it all works better when you don't have the feds and the states arguing.
The agreement will also help the bottom line, with the cost for the last financial year $600 million under the forecast, while savings from the reform estimated at $59 billion over 7 years.
Cut from the support and services that disabled people and our families need to live, to be safe, to be healthy.
In Sydney, this demonstration from frontline NDIS workers against rorts and rip-offs leaving staff underpaid.
Play us right every day.
Tonight, the government arguing a register of providers will prevent scams in the scheme. Sustainability has prompted the changes in the disability, aged care and construction sectors. 3 times this week, the major parties producing major reform through compromise. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
The Premier has been quizzed over the location of extra satellite hospitals that are about to be announced by the state government and why they're all in Labor electorates. Last night, 9 News exclusively revealed satellite hospitals have been slated for Yarrabilba in Logan, the Sunshine Coast, Hervey Bay, Mackay, Rockhampton and Cairns. The Premier maintains they're still finalising the list, with the announcement scheduled for this weekend.
We are still working through the list of satellite hospitals that we'll announce. It's a great graphic, though. You can reuse the graphic.
The satellite hospitals will be election promises. The scourge of domestic violence is never far from the headlines. And in the nation's capital today, the first annual report card into Australia's plan to tackle it was delivered. The message was blunt: men need to help make change happen.
More than just a moment. It became a movement and now demands to seize the momentum.
All of us have more to do. All of us must do better. Together we can, we must and we will. The time is now.
The first chance to see how Australia is tracking on the national plan to end violence against women and children.
We need to be having very different conversations with men. Unless we start doing that, we're not keeping women safe.
Of the 5 key findings, 2 focus on perpetrators, recommending more support for men with concerning behaviour, as well as more engagement and intervention for those who use violence. Also calling for more sustainable funding for refuges and sexual assault services, and extra training for staff from healthcare to teaching, social work and lawyers. The last finding recognises the difficulty of measuring progress due to the lack of available data. Less than half of the goals can be measured, and the report urges all governments to help provide more information as a priority.
We need standards, we need consistent practice, we need data that tells us more.
Also desperately needed input from offenders as to why they turn to violence.
We are watching a generation grow up with access to online misogyny, pornography, hate speak in a way that we've never seen before.
I think that this is a whole of society issue, but I think that men need to make this their issue.
A plan in progress with a push for more action.
We have to do better.
Claudia Radoljak, 9 News.
Overseas, and a new video's been unearthed showing Donald Trump's would-be assassin around an hour and a half before he shot at the former president. This is the earliest known footage of Thomas Crooks at the Butler rally ground. He would go on to climb onto a rooftop and fire 8 shots, killing a spectator. King Charles has met with survivors of the stabbing attack that claimed 3 young lives in the UK town of Southport. The monarch cheered by the community as a sea of colour filled the square, honouring the lives that were cut short.
I think it means a lot, especially to the families who've lost loved ones.
It just shows you that the monarchy does care in England.
The King will meet with the families of the girls who died tomorrow at Buckingham Palace. Heartless thieves, the criminals pinching more than 100 gravestones, selling them for cash. The finishing touches on the southeast's newest bars and restaurants as Queen's Wharf gets ready to open. The backpacker caught with a gold-plated gun in her luggage. And at the end of sport, top towns for retirees, where Aussies are downsizing to. Heartless thieves have left grieving families in distress with over 100 memorial plaques missing from the Tweedhead Cemetery. A groundsman discovered the theft early yesterday morning. Council believed they'd been stolen to resell as scrap metal.
For the thieves, that represents probably only about $1,500 worth of copper. For council, that represents probably $30,000 to $40,000 to replace those plaques.
The plaques have since been found hidden among concrete barriers. It's not known why they'd been left behind or by whom. The names of those affected will be published on the council website. A wannabe circus performer caught with a Bond villain-esque weapon is fighting to avoid prison. Liliana Goodson arrived at Sydney International Airport on a flight from Los Angeles in May last year with a gold-plated handgun in her luggage. The 24-carat firearm picked up on an X-ray by Border Force officers. She told them she wanted it for protection. Phone records later revealing she had Googled, "Can I have a gun in my suitcase?" The 28-year-old, who came to Australia for clown school, is facing 10 years behind bars. Well, several bars and restaurants are ready to welcome their guests when Queen's Wharf venues open their doors next week. 9 News can exclusively take you inside one of the new eateries with a first look at the food on offer.
It's a menu that's been in the making even longer than Queen's Wharf has been under construction.
A lot of travel through Vietnam, Southeast Asia, bringing all those ideas onto the menu and into the kitchen.
Celebrity chef Luke Newen preparing to open a new iteration of his Fat Noodle restaurant among several venues on offer when the Star Brisbane's staged opening begins next week.
This has got our typhoon shelter prawns, lots of garlic, lots of spring onions and chilli, really flavoursome.
So how do I dig into this? Do I get it with my chopstick?
Just take a little bit of that.
The Southeast Asian street food fusion eagerly put to the test by this reporter.
The texture's amazing. The flavour.
They're all very local. Yeah. So we've got dishes on here. We're using Moreton Bay bugs with our hockey noodle. We're using local spanner crab.
Phase 1 of Queen's Wharf's opening doesn't get underway for another 8 days, but you wouldn't know it today. More than 1,300 staff members of the Star Brisbane given the chance to taste test restaurant menus.
It is the best Vietnamese I've had in Brisbane.
Going around and trying them all is obviously an exciting time to feast.
A steady stream of bars and restaurants will open as part of a staggered Phase 1 between next Thursday and Christmas. Claire Todd-Hunter, 9 News.
Will always pay the lowest price. The spending slump now fueling fire sales from furniture to clothing and electronics. How to save hundreds, that's just ahead. Star power, the big names backing Kamala Harris at the Democratic National Convention. Tributes for the Brisbane woman who famously chained herself to the regatta in the 60s. Plus a rare peek behind the curtain of one of Australia's biggest brands.
9 News, brought to you by Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai. Ever driven a better car than yours? Now you can.
Michelle and Barack Obama have called on American voters to act during rousing back-to-back speeches at the Democratic Convention. The power couple throwing their political weight behind Kamala Harris. The party hopeful the momentum can carry them through to November.
The Democratic Convention turned dance party.
The Democratic National Convention roll call!
Lil Jon changed his lyrics. The woman of the moment beamed in from Wisconsin.
I'm a riot through your borders. Call me bulletproof. Together, we will chart a new way forward.
But the night belonged to two of the Democrats' biggest stars.
America, hope is making a comeback.
Launching a powerful takedown of Donald Trump.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
With the unenviable task of following his wife, the first black president made the case for the first female.
We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos.
All with the promise of building a better America.
Democrats want the mood in this room tonight to become a movement across the United States of America. For the Obamas are now set to make campaign stops right across the country to help Kamala Harris become America's commander-in-chief. My girl, Kamala Harris, is more than ready for this moment.
In Chicago, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
One of the world's most recognised beauty brands has opened a new facility in the southeast with dozens of jobs on offer. Tonight we take you behind the scenes at the new $40 million L'Oreal warehouse and reveal the surprising products that are the most popular in Australia.
From Paris to Ipswich, beauty giant L'Oreal now has a home in Redbank.
It's a very strategic location for us to be here, based in Ipswich in Brisbane. It's close to customers, enables us to reduce transport, which in turn reduces emissions, so it's greater for the environment as well.
This $40 million warehouse is now the distribution point for all 32 of L'Oreal's brands, from luxury labels like Yves Saint Laurent to chemist staples like CeraVe. There'll be 70 employees by Christmas, and this is just stage 1.
One day this could be a fulfilment centre for a direct-to-consumer, so delivering to people's homes as well.
The French company cracked $1 billion in sales in Australia last year. More than 15,000 products will be housed here. That's everything from mascara to lipsticks and perfumes, and lots of it. The most popular L'Oreal product sold in Australia is actually Garnier Fructis shampoo, with more than 1.5 bottles sold every minute. After spending some time under the Queensland sun for today's official opening, the French ambassador revealed his favourite L'Oreal product.
This morning it was the sunscreen one.
And he might want to stock up. He'll be spending much more time in Brisbane ahead of the 2032 Games.
I can't wait to have these Olympic Games in Australia.
Ebony Cavallaro, 9 News.
A pioneer of the Queensland feminist movement has died. Merle Thornton was one of two women who famously chained themselves to the bar at the Regatta Hotel in 1965, a protest over a ban on women drinking in public bars that led to the laws being changed. She later founded the Equal Opportunities for Women Association. Merle was 93. Counting the cost. How to make sure you're not losing money on subscriptions. Plus, the simple way to always pay the lowest price at major retailers. A Bennifer breakup. The celebrity couple calls it quits. And holiday mega sale, where you can fly for just $34. Money matters now, and a 9-day rise has been recorded by the local share market. Chris Kohler has the details.
It may only be 12 points, but it's still a positive day for the ASX, and that now makes 9 days in a row, a winning streak longer than we've seen in years. Software business WiseTech was the standout after reporting a big rise in profit, while Domino's Pizza didn't impress investors with its profit numbers. The price of gold pushed to new highs above $2,500 an ounce. It means a standard gold bar is now worth a cool $1 million for the first time ever. And the Australian dollar touched its highest level in a month. It's buying 67 US cents, 60 euro cents and 52 British pence.
Checking the fuel prices now, the average for unleaded in Brisbane $1.80 and diesel $1.92. On the Gold Coast it's $1.80 for unleaded as well. RACQ saying fill up now if you can. The prices will begin to rise again soon. It's time to pack your bags and get those holiday plans sorted, with Jetstar today launching major discounts on one-way domestic and international flights. Domestic fares start from just $34, while you can head overseas from just $149. A full list of fares and eligible destinations can be found online. The sale lasts for 6 days. It was a love story 20 years in the making, but after only 2 years of marriage, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have split. The Hollywood stars first got engaged in the early 2000s, but broke it off and went on to marry other people. They reconnected in 2021 and wed a year later. Lopez filing for divorce just weeks after their second wedding anniversary. 1 in 3 Australians is now cracking down on useless subscriptions, saving hundreds of dollars in the process. Products that were previously bought once are now being bundled into ongoing payments that budgeting experts warn can be a trap.
A home-cooked meal, a workout on the exercise bike, TV and movies, even toilet paper and underwear. The subscription economy has now spread across almost everything.
It's absolutely a trap. Businesses love subscription models because once they've got your bank account details, they know they've got their hand in your back pocket, and many of us will just keep on paying whether we use the service or not.
But millions like Joshua Vanderleest are now fighting back. He's dumping as many subscriptions as possible.
Definitely noticing a difference. Some are fairly straightforward, but you have to know that you're subscribed to them to cancel them.
And there's money to be saved. NAB data shows Aussies who cut back on subscriptions tend to save $56 a month, or upwards of $670 a year.
It used to be really hard to keep track of all of the things that you've signed up for. Technology has definitely made that easier, so all banks will have some form of spending insights feature.
A lot of businesses are moving towards subscriptions. In fact, with some new cars, if you don't pay a monthly fee, the seat warmers won't work. And even though you buy a security camera like this one, you also need to pay a monthly subscription. It's all set to continue, so consumers are being told they've got to be careful.
The subscription economy is not going anywhere.
Chris Kohler, 9 News.
Well, up next, we're live to the NRL Hall of Fame for the induction of the next immortal. The Dolphins under attack from an aerial assault as birds invade their training base. At the end of sport, the most popular towns for retirees.
And after a foggy start to your Wednesday, it cleared to a nice warm winter's day. Right now, 20 degrees in the city and here at Mount Gravatt with a gusty northerly, but temperatures are set to soar over the next few days.
The ultimate test awaits the Dolphins to prove they're finals worthy, taking on the top of the table Storm in Melbourne on Saturday. But the Finns' preparations have been disrupted by an aerial invasion at their Redcliffe training base.
Wayne Bennett's seen it all in rugby league, but this might just be an exception to birds interrupting one of his training sessions. That was the predicament today with these pesky plovers taking ownership of the Dolphins field at Redcliffe. Time's running out to fly up the ladder and seal a maiden finals appearance.
We just got to win. You know, if we win, we're going to make finals. It's you know, we've still got a decent for and against, so as long as we're getting 2 points every week, we'll make finals.
Jeremy Marshall-King could return from a foot injury next week to strengthen their charge.
Yeah, Jeremy's probably one of the best hookers in the game, so if we can get him back, that's a huge up for us.
On Saturday, the Finns face the unenviable task of tackling the top of the table Storm in Melbourne.
Probably is a bit of a danger game because everyone's sort of talking about finals and how well we went last week, but they'll be pretty hurt from last week. I think I was watching the footage after their game. You can see Hammer sitting on the ground shaking his head, and all the Dolphins players look disappointed. So when Wayne's your coach, he's good at getting everyone up and get to each individual and making sure they're feeling ready for this week.
Unsigned beyond 2025, Ryan Pappenhausen's future is unclear. Come November, he can negotiate with rival clubs.
Early on when it first started getting speculated, I probably got caught up into it a little bit, but I think now it's just I've come to terms with it's just the way it is, and I'll keep playing. Something happens, but yeah, there's no point worrying about it now because when that does pop up, I'll probably worry at that time.
Adam Jackson, 9 News.
Des Hasler's arrival on the Gold Coast had Titans fans dreaming big, but the side now faces the reality of missing finals for the third straight season. It's a result that isn't sitting well with the playing group.
We fell short the last few years, which is, unacceptable, and we're trying to change the trend here at the Titans. We've grown a lot, and it's only going to help us going forward next year. And second year under Des is always going to be a lot better.
The Titans play their last home game this Sunday against the Roosters. Fresh off breaking the Olympic try-scoring record, Rugby 7-star Maddie Levi set her sights on making a hole-in-one during the launch of the Australian WPGA Championship on the Gold Coast. NRLW clubs are also courting Levi to switch to league following her outstanding performance in Paris.
Don't get me wrong, I guess when you play a sport like that, you always have offers, so AFLW and NRL, I think, especially now I've got a month on trying to see how many games, but yeah, I'm definitely committed, obviously committed till 26 to rugby.
Levi, one of several Aussie athletes throwing their support behind the revamped WPGA Championship, which will be held at Sanctuary Cove in March. There's no higher honour in rugby league, and tonight at least one more great will join the game's most prestigious club, the Immortals. Zach Bailey is at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and Zach, there's plenty of anticipation there tonight.
There certainly is, Dom. Some of the biggest names in rugby league are here at the SCG for one of the most important dates on the rugby league calendar in recent years. 25 former players, coaches, referees and contributors will be inducted into the Hall of Fame before the big Immortal announcement. We haven't had one since 2018. There's talk there might be one or two tonight. One of the leading contenders among the favourites, former Maroons captain, former Melbourne Storm captain. He is already a legend of the game. He'll go into the Hall of Fame. That is Cameron Smith. No player has played more games in the NRL, a premiership winner, a State of Origin winner, and of course a World Cup winner. I caught up with him a short time ago.
Whoever's name gets read out tonight, they'll be very much deserving for their contribution to the game for a long period of time. If it's me, I don't know how I'll react. I really don't know. But I've really had zero expectation that will happen. I'm just very honoured that I get the opportunity to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with some pretty special people.
The likes of Darren Lockyer, Alan Langer, Ron Coote and Peter Sterling are also considered among the contenders for tonight. Dom will know in the next couple of hours who is Rugby League's next Immortal.
Thank you, Zach. We are cheering for our Queenslanders. Tennis world number one, Jannik Sinner, is at the centre of a drug storm with revelations the Australian Open champion twice tested positive to the anabolic androgenic steroid clostebol. The Italian successfully argued the substance entered his system via a massage from his physio, who'd earlier cut his finger and used the cream for treatment.
He's not guilty.
he has been proven innocent by a board of 2 independents that have both said that there was not enough substance in his body to enhance any performance, and the substance being less than a billionth of a gram.
Nick Kyrgios has slammed Sinner's explanation as ridiculous, tweeting that he should be banned for 2 years. And for Woll's tips this week, he's gone back to his roots ahead of round 25.
Well, I'm back at my second home, and that's the Valleys Rugby League Club, where I managed to make my first grade debut as an 18-year-old in 1978. And I'm always keeping an eye on the next crop of talent out here. I'm thrilled 2 of the under-15 boys teams have made finals this weekend, and as you can see, they're going to be a handful for the opposition. And let's see which NRL teams are also posing to be a threat in round 25 of the Premiership. I favour the Broncos to defeat the Eels at Suncorp Stadium Friday night, the Dolphins to be beaten by the Storm in Melbourne Saturday afternoon, and the Titans to just fall short against the Roosters Sunday. My other winners are the Sea Eagles, the Bulldogs, the Panthers, the Knights and the Sharks. Good luck. It's the business end of the season across the clubland in Queensland, and I'll give these boys the final word. Go Valleys!
Well said. That is your sport, Lofty.
Nice one. Thanks, Dom. Well, 2 Queensland towns have been named in the top 10 destinations to retire to. As Meg Sides explains, the list takes into account those looking to rent, downsize or upsize while getting the most out of their retirement.
If you're clocking off and looking for a sea or tree change, you're in luck. The top 10 retirement locations in Australia have now been named. Looking at affordability and lifestyle, and 2 Queensland towns are on that list. Ingham in North Queensland comes in at number 2 with a median house price of $234,000 and rent sitting at $390 per week. It's known as the Little Italy of the tropical north and is just an hour and a half away from Townsville. This small town could be perfect for those looking for a slower life with great food, world-class fishing and access to the reef. Further south, Hervey Bay sits at number 4 on the list. The median house price is $637,000 and weekly rent comes in at about $580, offering an affordable coastal lifestyle without sacrificing amenities or access to the city. In the top 30 towns, Queensland scored 7 mentions, with Bundaberg, Caloundra, Coolangatta, Scarborough and Stanthorpe also named.
Well, in just 3 minutes, from furniture to clothing and electronics, the new Simple Tools guaranteeing you never pay a cent too much, that's moments away. But firstly, Garry is back with a check on our weather. Gaz, are we looking at another foggy morning?
Oh, some fog patches tomorrow morning, Andrew, but it won't last as long with the northerly winds to kick in early. But that means temperatures set to soar even warmer, especially into early next week. Wait till you see those temps forecast in your 7-day outlook.
Well, do you love a bargain and want to get the best deals when you're shopping? Of course. Well, you don't have to wait for the big sales because many stores promise to beat their competitors' prices and offer a discount.
It pays to be a smart shopper, and on big-ticket items like white goods, furniture and electronics, it can add up to big savings.
You can save hundreds of dollars, particularly off those larger appliances.
Here's how it works. Identify the item you want to buy, then shop around online or in catalogues for the cheapest price. Then head to your nearest store and ask them to price match or, better yet, beat it.
Maybe it's easy to do returns, or you change your mind, there's a stronger refund policy and you don't have to go through the process of posting it back.
Sound too good to be true? Well, nearly all the big name stores guarantee lower prices. Let's put it to the test. In store at The Good Guys, the salesman actually showed us the lowest prices online for a 65-inch LG TV, knocking $300 off the marked price.
If you guys find it cheaper.
Or if you find it cheaper.
Or if we find it cheaper, may as well.
You don't even have to do it in person. With just a quick phone call to JB Hi-Fi,
I can match that one for you today.
In less than 60 seconds, they slashed the price of this Bosch washing machine, advertised for $13.99, but selling at appliances online for $1,147.
That's a good saving, $252. I'm pretty happy with that.
With a downturn in consumer spending, competition for customer loyalty is fierce, with many stores even price matching the heavily discounted online giant Amazon. Officeworks slashed these Sennheiser headphones by $90 to match Amazon's price of $219. But a week later, they were selling for $10 cheaper. So I asked for a $10 refund and I got it.
Thank you so much. It's a great saving of $100.
All up, across just 3 items, we've saved more than $650, showing that shopping around using price matching couldn't be easier. Michelle Tapper, 9 News.
Well, time now for your full weather forecast. Garry, sounds like we're in for a few warmer days.
Quite a few indeed, Andrew. Tomorrow we'll see the northwesterly winds pushing temperatures into the high 20s, and again on Friday there will be an afternoon northeast sea breeze, but it's early next week, sort of Monday, Tuesday, Brisbane and certainly Ipswich will see 30 degrees. So that's about 7 to 8 degrees above average. It was relatively warm today. Let's have a look at our temperatures recorded across southeast Queensland. The maximum was 27 degrees, and that was shared between Ipswich and also in Gatton today. 26 in Archerfield, Caboolture, Beaudesert, Greenbank and here in Mount Gravatt. 25 in the city, 24 for Coolangatta, the Goldie, Redcliffe and Sunshine Coast. With the weather map, a low pressure system in the southwest will deliver showers and storms for WA. An unstable westerly flow that'll bring gusty showers right across South Australia, Victoria, Tassie and New South Wales, with snow showers for the Alps. Capitals and interstate. Showers across Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart. Possible shower in Canberra. A cloudy one in Sydney tomorrow, but mostly sunny, and 34 degrees for Alice Springs and Darwin. Queensland partly cloudy, high 20s. Cairns and Townsville partly cloudy and mid-20s. Mackay, Gladstone and Bundaberg. 27 on the way tomorrow for Rocky, Gympie and Maryborough. Sunny and hot inland. We're looking at 34 for Mount Isa, 33 in Longreach and 30 for Roma. Southeast Queensland, some early fog clearing to a sunny day. Freshening northerly winds. Overnight temperatures as low as 11 degrees inland, 14 Bayside, but look at those maximums tomorrow. Mid to high 20s, 29 for Gatton and Ipswich. Moreton Bay, north-northwest, turning north-northeast, 15 to 20 knots in the afternoon. So the sea's up to 2 metres offshore. Brizzy, some early fog, clearing to a sunny day, an afternoon northeast sea breeze and a high of 27. Your outlook, early fog Friday, possible late shower, fine weekend, mid-20s, Monday, Tuesday, 30 degrees. Ipswich, early fog Friday, then 27, a partly cloudy weekend, up to 29 on Sunday, but Monday and Tuesday around 30 degrees. For the Goldie, fine Friday, 25, possible late shower, partly cloudy weekend, but Monday 29, Tuesday again 29 degrees. Sunshine Coast, fine Friday, chance of a late shower, partly cloudy weekend, we're looking at mid-20s each day. Sunny Monday and also Tuesday as temperatures once again head for the high 20s. So some very warm weather for winter for the next 4 or 5 days at least, Andrew.
That is looking pretty good. Thanks, Garry. And before we go, let's take a look at a story you won't want to miss on 9 News tomorrow night.
A test that can tell if you're in the dementia danger zone.
Such a devastating disease.
Simple and free.
An incredible measure with high accuracy.
Why early diagnosis is vital in fighting long-term effects.
We believe that everybody could be at risk.
9 News tomorrow.
And that's 9 News for this evening. Ali Langdon's next with the current affair. Thanks for your company. Good night.